Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? Welcome to Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast, brought to you by Ready Check Radio. It is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's time to talk about some Blizzard entertainment, whether that be World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, whatever the hell they've got for us this week. Obviously, this week, a big week, probably going to be talking a lot about the old World of Warcrafts. If you're watching on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com, RAIDEO, and join us live sometime. We do the Snowbound show Tuesday at 7 p.m., The Relic Grind, which is Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast, Thursday at 7 p.m., and Gaming Gumbo Saturday at 7 p.m. That's a general gaming weekly wrap-up. Love to have you. Come join us on chat. In chat, follow us on Twitch and everything. We've got some nice things coming up if we reach some follower goals. Oh, God. I actually almost hope we don't reach those. But it'll be fun when we do. So, yeah, come check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. Programming note before we get started here today. This will be the last episode of 2020. Next week being Christmas and the week afterwards being New Year's. Want to make sure everybody that's volunteering their time, since they are all volunteers, including myself here, sharing our passion, make sure they have the time to spend that they want to with other family members or friends or whatever, if you're allowed to do that thing where you live. So no shows. That all streamers will be on their normal schedule if they want to stream, though. So make sure you're following the Twitch page so that you get the notifications for who's playing what and when. But today, let's start talking about World of Warcraft. It's week 3 completion in Shadowlands. The Mythic plus World First the Mythic rating World First race has begun. The Mythic Plus season's already been underway. We talked a little bit about that, so we'll get some status checks from our hosts. First up, Mr. Dom Greco, a.k.a. Zista. What's up, sir?
Hello. How's it going?
I can't complain there. What do you got? Don't step in that. You failed to not step in the thing during a raid. You feel a strong sense of disappointment.
Yeah. There's too much red in this raid. Everything's red. There's one encounter. It's like 3 things are red. Some you have to step in. Some you don't have to step in. It gets confusing.
Don't step in that, though. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about Zista and his raiding experience as we go throughout the show here. Also on the line, ready to chat World of Warcraft with us, Angela Mercurio, a.k.a. India Garona. How are you, Indy?
Good evening. I'm doing great. Thanks.
You've been streaming a lot. I've been checking out your stream. It's been fun watching you do Torghast and with some randos. One warlock in particular that really wanted to just burn through your group's deaths with the traps and their stones. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I just have been so eager to do the content as it's released. I'm willing to pug a little bit more than, say, a few expansions ago. But that said, you have to be a real glutton for punishment to be a healer and just pug an entire group full of people you don't know. So I'm probably going to do a little bit less of that moving forward.
Couldn't imagine why.
I'm probably going to back off from that a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. Well, I guess let's start with the raid first. The Mythic World First raid competition is going on. It is still going on right now. As of this exact moment, we have 6 guilds tied for first, essentially, with 2 out of 10 kills. BDGG picking up the world first kill on Shriekwing and Huntsman. And then I watched just before this show Complexity drop one on the Sunstrider fight with about 2% health for the old man himself left there. So pretty close, but that one we might see fall shortly. But yeah, 6 different guilds at 2 out of 10. Are you surprised that it's only 2 out of 10 so far, Indy, or did you expect it to be a little further along by now?
No, I actually like that it's 2 out of 10. I don't like to see people blow through progression. It's Mythic for a reason. It should be hard. It should be incredibly difficult. I don't find the instance to be overtuned. I like things hard. Like it's supposed to be slower progression the higher you go, heroic and mythic. So to see guilds like, just really battling it out is more exciting than seeing one guild just trash the place, I think.
Zist, are you along the same lines, or did you think we'd be a little further along by now?
I think if you
Regardless of what you may like to see, did you really expect to go into the show this evening at 2 out of 10?
I actually thought it would be less than that. Because like you look at it compared to like what it's been previously, and I think maybe I might have had expectations of it being higher, but actually getting my toes dipped in the raid pool last week and saw just how it's not even just the raid, it's like how difficult it is to get gear in general this expansion. That it seems like everything's a little more challenging. So yeah, I definitely didn't expect them to get very far first day.
I thought Sunstrider would have fallen already. If you would have asked me, I would have put it at 3. I probably would. I would have put
No.
Shriek
That's a
Wing.
tough one.
I would have put Shriek Wing
Sunstrider
out
is
there.
really tough.
No, I'm not saying that it's an easy fight, but out of all of
Yeah.
them, I think that would have been the one after Shriek Wing that probably could have been handled and mitigated better than some other fights. Not to diminish how hard that fight is. I just thought some of the world first guilds themselves would have been better equipped for that particular fight over other ones. Not surprised to see Huntsman down, but I also don't think I would have been surprised to see Huntsman not down at this point either. Shriekwing, I kind of expected to fall pretty quickly. That's more a execution fight than anything else. So and obviously these types of guilds, execution is usually not a problem for most fights. So yeah, I'd say at best I expected 3 out of 10 is where I would have put it. So kind of on par. Now you two did some raiding. I did not raid this week, and somebody had asked me if I was going to go with you two, and I was like, no, I'm like 8 gear points lower than where I really want to be, and I don't want to hold them back or anything, so I'm not going to go. But you guys did go raiding together. What's that?
Did you faction change?
I did not faction change because I knew I wasn't going to be raiding with you Friday. So I didn't do it yet. I will do it. But you two did check out some normal. You didn't make it to heroic, so we're just going to be talking about normal and personal experiences. We can then go into some things we've seen and read about heroic and give some thoughts there. But I want to get your two first-hand impressions here. You did take down a couple of bosses. I've already mentioned Shriekwing being more an execution fight than like a raw DPS check, although there's kind of an element to one in there. You took that one down. How many tries did it take? How'd the fight feel? Give us the walkthrough, Zista.
I think we ended up killing it on the 3rd attempt. I think that's right. We've always kind of been a pull and learn and adapt kind of thing instead of like mimicking a video, like exactly, how some people in our group like watching the video, but we've always just kind of been, hands-on learners. So, it was just trying to figure out the best place to tank him and stuff like that. We ended up tanking him directly in the center of the 4 pillars. And then that made it easier for people to have the rest of the room to go. And that worked all right. I think that was our adjustment we made on the second one. And then I think we had everybody in like a full circle around, and that wasn't working. So we split and did like half and half. Like the first half of the fight, we stayed where the boss is, and then the second half we moved to the other side to like leave us more room for the end where it gets hectic.
That like mitigated the pools, right?
Yeah, exactly. So and it ended up working really well. We adjusted quickly on that one, so it's definitely, I think it's a great entry level boss.
Indy, was this a pain in the ass to heal?
No, see, when we moved the boss to the middle, it created like a line of sight issue for the healers because there's 4 columns.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a line of sight issue. But then when we adjusted where we started on one side and then moved to the other side, and then the healers could all be on the same side, then it's fine. As a healer, you always get frustrated if like there's a line of sight issue, you can't save somebody and they die. Like that's the worst thing in the world. So once we figured that out, it was like easy. And I think it was only 3 or so pulls. That was one of the quicker ones, I think.
So it wasn't Zista being a baddie, it was the room being a baddie.
Yeah, I would say so.
Didn't like the pillars.
think he
What
only
order
stood
did you
in
guys do
something
this,
on
by the way?
Kael'thas.
After you did Shriekwing, did you go straight to Huntsman, or did you
Yes.
you went straight to Huntsman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the way I have them in the show notes, but actually when I thought about it just now, I was like, I don't know if that's the order they did them in or not.
The order you have them listed is the order we did them in, yeah.
Oh, cool. Then Indy, thank you for giving them to me in the exact order that you did them.
I don't think it's the order we killed them in, but it's definitely the order we tried them in.
You tried them. Okay.
Yeah.
So Indy will give you Huntsman, also down as far as Mythic World First goes. How'd this one go for you?
It got so this one I would say probably took. It's hard to say time-wise because time flies in a raid for me. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
really look at the clock. I don't remember how many pulls or how long, but I know that it got better and better with each pull. Like you see the next phase and then you do the next phase and then you're like, oh crap, this thing does that. And for healers in this fight, there's a mob that you have to heal, and if it reaches the boss, then you're screwed. So once we adjusted that, we figured that out.
Well, you can mitigate that though by getting the tank that gets hit with that ability spawning the soul by topping them up, because the gap that you have to heal in that soul is the same gap that the tank was missing in their HP when the ability was triggered though, right? So you can get out in front of it if you know it's coming.
Yeah, we always got one, and for the most part, they were pretty easy to heal. So I would say that there was, everybody did a really good job keeping the tanks topped off. Yeah, that fight was actually, I think that most of the fights in there were enjoyable to learn. I like getting a little bit further and pushing phase and then seeing a new mechanic.
I think this was another 3 attempt boss. I don't think it was very much. I know we wiped once in, I think it was the second phase. The first ad, the first bear or whatever that we came across, we beat. That wasn't a problem. It was the second one where you had to the only way to beef it up to take more damage was to CC it. I don't think we quite grasped that right away, and our hardest part was stopping the AoE so it didn't get broken and could sit up there and build the stack. So I know we definitely wiped once to that, and I know we wiped once in phase 3 to the pools because we didn't expect that to happen so fast, and we didn't explain that to anybody, or so pools are being dropped all over the room. After seeing that one time, is all right, move those to the edge of the wall, and then we beat it that attempt. So this one we didn't struggle with that much.
Nice. So then who was the hardest for you guys? So to spoil this a little bit, you guys got Shriekwing, Huntsman, Lady Darkvein, Hunger the Destroyer, and almost took out.
We had a 2 or 3% wipe on Artificer
Zymox. So those were the 5, 4 of which totally down, 1 a couple percent left. Which one was the hardest for you guys so far, Indy?
Not on the list, the Sun King.
Yeah.
Because we did beat our heads against that for half a raid.
Yep.
And
we spent an hour and a half on that one.
Where was the
I
gap?
think Artificer would have gone down. I actually have to take the blame for one of those close calls because the vortex that sucks you into the middle, I swore I could get out of it. I can just bubble myself and take the speed boost and get out of this, but I didn't allow it to suck me in. And I ended up dying towards the end of the fight, and that was the 2% wipe. So I'm like, oh geez, I should not have. That was just my bad.
Well, chat, if you want to, you could say your goodbyes to Indy now, because I did get an email from Zista that claimed exactly what she just said and asked for her to be removed from the show. So,
for that,
yeah, this is a world first podcast, Indy. If you can't. Oh my! So close call on there. So now let's go back. Lady Darkvein, something that you were able to down Zista. Give us the play-by-play here.
So this fight, we had 2 of our more vocal raid leaders. We had our Druid Emmy and our former raid leader, Philidrin. They were doing all the work with the anima tanks where we had to drain all that stuff. They had that down to a science. So it was just learning the rest of it. And on the first night,
Well, that
this was the
certainly
last
does
boss
make
week.
that fight a little bit easier if you've got two
Oh,
people that
absolutely.
know those the drains, when to drain, when not to drain, when to let one fill up. If you got two people that you don't even have to explain it to anybody, they just
Yeah.
know, that takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the team there.
Yeah. So like we got really close the first night and we missed it by just a little bit, and we were already like 10 minutes over our raid time. Everybody was, they stuck around for one more pull. We made a pull at like 10:55 when our raid ends at 11. So we were like, everybody stayed for a little bit extra. That was the attempt. We almost had it. And then we were like, we'll get it tomorrow. But we knew Phil was not going to be there for the first hour and a half of the raid. So we tried to go work on, that's when we went to work on Sunstrider instead, to get him. So when he was able to get on, we can go back to that boss. So we were just getting our feet wet with something else. And I think it was maybe 2 pulls after that night we got it. Our big problem was after empowering each of the tanks, if you didn't kill him by the time the 4th one was finished, you would basically hit like a enrage,
Yeah,
a
it's a
soft
soft
enrage or whatever. So we were originally blowing lust at the start of the fight. I think we held it to the end of the fight, and then we ignored the ads at the last like 10%. So we ended up with 2 ads up at the very end of it that people were just like kind of off tanking or something like that, and we just focused the boss, and that made all the difference we needed, and we were able to take it down.
Indy, this one can get a little fun for healers. How did you like this encounter?
The Dark Vein?
Yeah.
I loved it. I don't know why. It's strangely like the balls, I can talk about those, and the lasers reminded me strangely of like the Sinestra fight. The coordination that was required for Sinestra. Oh, Zista probably remembers me on Sinestra, which I failed miserably at. But this one, I had it down from a really early thing. You get an arrow over your head. 3 seconds later, the balls spawn, and then you know exactly where to go. And I was like, I hope I get targeted. I think it's a fun mechanic. I literally wanted to be the target. And I had no idea what was going on with the tanks because that was DPS and whoever was in charge of the tanks. So it was nice to not have to worry about tanks. Are you guys laughing at me right now?
No.
You got this thing for balls. Like, I've been watching your stream lately. And
No, because the
earning
trinket
channel
that I
points,
wear-
and there was all kinds of talks about emanating balls from the healer there. Now,
The trinket
and now you're
that
like,
I
please
had
put the arrow
on-
in my head. I'd like to deal with the balls.
But here's the thing: the trinket that I had on does it procs balls, and nobody ever grabs them. It gives you a stat boost and it gives you a little heal, and it's like, guys, grab these. I can't take them all.
I mean, for me, it's usually the healer's too far back, so I don't want to go away from the boss to get them. So,
Well, you're a demon hunter. You could like easily just.
I mean, I could, but then that's still 2 seconds. I'm off of the boss.
I'm done.
Sorry.
I'm done. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. Enjoy. We'll see you next week. All right, I guess we'll keep going. A little bit. Let's just cue that up. I don't know why anybody won't come. Guys, come grab my balls. Come on. I can't possibly take all these balls myself.
I can't. There's too many.
Sister, if you were a real man, you'd fly over here and grab these balls.
Yep.
Yes, sir,
tried
on
to
your
leave
night.
'em there.
We are talking about balls, and yes, Indy started it. Hungering, how'd you guys do on the Destroyer? You got your kill. Was this nasty, Indy, or was this a clean one after a couple attempts type deal?
I think hungering was pretty quick if I remember correctly.
I believe it was the second attempt.
Yeah, it was fast.
Yep.
So
I don't
easy
think there was too
peasy.
much to learn on that one.
Easy
Yep.
peasy.
Yeah.
Soak stuff, don't stand in stuff, and run away from stuff. That's it.
So if you get Zista's achievement from the top of the show, then you cannot do this fight yet. You cannot do this fight because you cannot get standing in the stuff. So what caused, besides Indy's lack of being world first skills, really, I'm sure, Indy, it wasn't exclusively your fault.
It wasn't. It wasn't her fault at all. But everybody always feels like it's their fault.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I
especially
wasn't
on,
even
like,
there, and I'm
small
pretty
little
sure it's
wrecks
my
like that.
fault. I'm pretty sure. Had I been there, that 2%,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
even though
honestly,
I'm a tank.
the hard part for us was our figuring out what to do with our tanks in the final phase, because when the tanks get that buff or debuff on them where they like explode and deal out a bunch of damage and stuff all around them, when they're getting sucked into the portal and then they have to go in the portal and the portal's right where the rest of the raid is, it's trying to figure out where they can be, especially when we have like a death knight that doesn't have a lot of mobility, and stuff like that. So it was just kind of figuring out where they needed to be during that phase to not kill other people and to still be able to like survive. That was the hardest part for us, and every single attempt we lost a tank because of that. But we were consistently in phase 3. I think on the second or third attempt, and then for the remainder of the night, we were just constantly wiping at like 10%, 5%, 3%. Like it was getting closer and closer every time, and I thought we were going to get it on the last poll, and then I think that one ended up being like a 10% wipe or something. So we're like, well, at least we have something to look forward to next week. We're pretty sure we're going to get it down this.
Indy, I do want to know, you didn't down this one or anything, but I do want to know, go back to Sunstrider a little bit. What did you were really pumped about that fight, a healer fight in the vein of, the Syndragosa fights. What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Was it everything you hoped it would be? Did you say hi to your boyfriend while you were there?
I did say hi to my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. There's Twitter proof of that.
Yes. Somebody made a comment on it that said that it looked like I was being all notice me senpai because I was like kneeling before him. That said, the fight it's way harder than the Syndragosa encounter because there's a lot more going on. There's like Syndragosa, there was mobs coming in, you had to control those, you had to fly through the things, but every healer could get a healing buff by doing that. This one is like only one healer can pick up that buff, and through trial and trial and trial, I kind of worked out and figured out that like that we weren't doing it right. Like you're supposed to control these. Well, at least most of the guilds that are doing this were controlling these what are they? Fonts. So that you're not pushing him into the next phase with all these ads up. You're kind of controlling the phase push. And we weren't doing that. And I think the healers weren't on the same page as the DPS, and the healers weren't even on the same page as the other healers. So it was kind of confusing because you really just have to pick one healer to get all the buffs, and you have to make sure all the healers aren't pushing those fonts over 100%.
And it's a timing thing too, so that you're keeping that buff up for as long as possible, not just necessarily getting the biggest buff possible for the shortest amount of time.
Right, but usually one healer gets it.
Yeah.
And the rest of the healers are like watching to make sure the fonts don't get pushed over 100. And then when everything's ready to phase push, then they just do all of them at once.
Yeah, they just burst.
Something like that, yeah.
Sister, were you a fan of this one?
Honestly, there's so much going on in that fight. I still don't even know what's going on in it. So, it's hectic. That doesn't mean I don't like it. I'm just overwhelmed. That's all.
Well, you might not be the only one, though, because going into the start of the Mythic World First race today, there were some concerns and some challenges with just the normal and heroic versions of Castle Nathria, with world-leading guilds still taking about 2 days from the actual patch drop last Tuesday when we did the show before there was a Nathria clear. Now that... Like, you might not be surprised that there's 1, 2, or 3 bosses killed in the Mythic, but come on. All of you have to be a little bit surprised that it took 2 days for any world first on the heroic side of things, Zista.
Huh.
Yeah.
I love it.
Big fan. Indy just likes when the challenge is there. That's all.
Yeah, because like think back to I'm back in my day, get off my lawn, this, that, and the other.
Uphill both ways in the snow.
Back in Classic, did anybody clear Molten Core in one day? No. Blackwing Lair? No. Nax, definitely not. AQ?
You mean in Vanilla? In Classic they did.
I'm sorry, Vanilla. Sorry. And I was part of one of those hardcore progression guilds raiding 5 days a week, and I liked it. I loved it.
Yeah, but yeah, you also had a different
Want more of it.
caliber of player back then too.
True, but I still think that casual,
And
like even more
to be honest,
casual.
quite a few of those fights lasted as long as they did because they were bugged to hell and back. So I mean, there's different I see the point, but different
Cocoon having tentacles
circumstances.
spawn inside the wall, so you can't get any clears on it for the
Right.
first weeks.
Everybody's in the stomach getting zapped by lightning that's happening outside. That's fun. Yay. But yeah, I mean, I see your point, and I'm all up for challenges. Like, I'm probably not going to be clearing Mythic Nathria anytime soon, but I do want a challenge to be presented. Like, I don't want to. Honestly, looking for raid and expansions past was just. It was so painful for me to do because it was like this is you could sleep through this, and then even when you got into the normal and sometimes in some fights the heroic, you were like this. There was almost a gap between we're going to feed it to you and you're going to have to give up your entire life to be able to clear this. And there was like almost nothing in between for some of those fights. I do feel like, hey, normal and heroic here are going to present more than adequate challenge, but accomplishable for me without having to sell off my children and not do anything with the family anymore because I've got to raid 8 hours a day. So they did make some changes, by the way, though, before we went into the Mythic race. Now, a lot of changes, if you look at the hotfixes from like the 11th and the 14th, they did the final class sweep through everything before Tuesday's patch, which I think all of us expected, right? That's pretty typical, the last-minute wave through abilities. Some PvE issues, some PvP issues. You might want to take a look at the hot fixes. We're not going to go through each individual class, but is there any one you guys wanted to spot out? Because some of them were pretty substantial.
No? Not in particular. I'm just happy that I get 5% more damage.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the raid itself, though, they did fix a few issues, but in addition to just straight fixes, there were nerfs. I mean, for lack of a better term, there were nerfs to a couple of fights, including
Sun King
and Lady Darkvane.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Darkvane. This was right before. I can't find the damn thing now. Let me do a Control F real quick. There we go. So the health for Darkvane was reduced by 10% on both normal and heroic, and then her Harness Specter's health was reduced by 10% on normal and heroic too. That's a pretty big cut going into that fight. And then your Sunstrider, yeah, there's quite a few of these. So let me go through these for you. Soul Pedestal healing substantially increased on all difficulties. Enemies in this encounter now berserk after 14 minutes on normal and heroic difficulties. Rockbound Vanquisher's concussive smash damage reduced by 15% on normal and heroic. Bleakwing Assassin's Crimson Flurry initial damage and damage over time cut by 15% normal and heroic. Shade of Kel'Thas, Ember Blast reduced by 20% on normal and heroic, and then fixed an issue where he could fail to disappear when you won, or when he was defeated, the Shade. So quite a few nerfs. Again, I don't think any of this was unexpected, but I was surprised, particularly in Lady Darkvane's, that 10% is a pretty big cut. That is off by a lot. I'm used to seeing the 5% number thrown around. Anytime I see 10, and in some patches we've seen as high as 30, then that just tells me that there was a big-time over-tuning problem, Zista.
Yeah. There's a lot of changes that they did with Sun King as well, where they increased stuff by like 150% extra healing done and stuff like that. And that fight definitely, like, we had a lot of trouble with that. So I feel like some of the stuff is overtuned. Like in the Lady Darkvane fight, like we're DPSing and I'm sitting there going, if this was like last expansion, this boss feels like it would have been dead already, and we're at 80%. It's just like it seemed like things were taking forever. But I don't know if that's a product of like the number squish and seeing lower numbers and having, bigger health pools. And I feel like stuff was still tuned around like the internal testing before the squish of when things were like level 120. Because I know even in the patch notes when they first showed off Nathria, on the official Blizzard tweet, they said level requirement 120, and everybody's like, that's going to be a little hard to get into. There's something wrong there. So
Yeah.
I think part of that might have had to do with the squish.
Indy, how did the loot go for your group?
I mean, I think we rated after the hotfix, because
No,
I
the
read that.
hotfix didn't go
No,
live until
it
today.
didn't go live until today.
Oh, well, I didn't think that there was any excessive amount of loot. I know they wanted to be comparable to like the old dungeons, the amount of loot that would drop for a raid. I don't think that there was like any kind of extra loot that people were getting. I think in relation to the size of the raid, the number of people who actually got loot was kind of, if anything, not great.
It seemed about on par where it should have been, but Blizzard is saying that's too much.
Yeah.
It's
So
gotta be lower than
a
that.
hotfix introduced today in the patch. This was posted about a few days ago, but it was introduced in today's patch. Blue Post, soon after the Castle Nathria raid went live for normal and heroic difficulties this week, we discovered a bug that was causing an unintended additional amount of loot to drop. Due to this bug, bosses have been dropping an average of 5 items for a 20-player raid group, when an average of 3 items is intended. Throughout the design and testing of Shadowlands, we had a consistent goal of bringing a similarity to the rate of loot acquisition that players experience in each of the main endgame activities: raiding, Mythic Keystone Dungeons, and PvP. This bug, if left unaddressed, would prioritize normal and heroic raiding over similar difficulty dungeons and PvP progression. We're developing a fix for the issue, which will be implemented with the scheduled weekly maintenance, which was today. Neither the bug nor the fix will affect conduits and legendary memories, as their drop chances are determined separately from loot. So people were getting more than they bargained for, but Blizz says that's not a great thing. But you guys didn't feel it. You guys didn't feel like we're getting more than we should. How many were in the group?
I think at a high we might have had like 22.
Okay, so you were right in the 15 to 25, breadbasket point, since everything's based on usually 20 people for these kind of drops. And you weren't noticing that, hey, we're getting 5-6 drops per boss?
Oh, we were definitely getting around 5 drops per boss.
But that felt right to you then.
It
So
felt
this
right,
3 is going to feel lower for both of you.
Absolutely.
It's fine.
So let me play devil's advocate then. Like, I can okay, so first off, the way they have it balanced, it would have prioritized raiding. I get that. That's face value. We can't really argue that. You would raid rather than PvP if the rewards were better. You would raid rather than Mythic Keystone if the rewards were better or you had a chance at more rewards. Fine. So the argument becomes, well, then shouldn't all 3 of these things be 5 instead of 3? Instead of pulling raiding back, equalize Mythic Keystones. But if you look back at the way we progressed in previous expansions, right? We had the Heart of Azeroth, we had the artifact weapons. Those were our primary power progression points in the expansions. We don't have those here. So now, by default, we revert essentially back to gear acquisition, a la Burning Crusade, a la Wrath of the Lich King, those expansions. Gear acquisition becoming the power play throughout the expansion. I can almost see why they need to peel this back then, because that is, if they're dropping 5-6 things per boss, then we outpace the delivery of content. I think absolutely. Is the issue here, Zista.
Yeah, they've said that while crafting this expansion, they've learned a lot of lessons from going back and releasing and working on classic, WoW again, and they wanted to utilize some of those ideals and philosophies over into the current content. And I definitely feel that. I definitely think that that's what's going on there. And I have a lot of people that have come back that have been playing classic and are now playing, live servers and going, this is starting to feel a lot closer to what it was like back then,
But that's not always good, Indy, because you want to feel rewarded for your time, too.
I feel rewarded when a boss goes down.
All right, take it down
No, I
6
do.
times and you don't get your magic healing plus 75 pants, and it feels
You-
pretty shitty, though, doesn't it?
They've made. I mean, the vault is amazing. The vault gives
When
us
it-
more than.
Well, when it's not bugged, which we'll talk about next.
Indy got the token from the raid. She got her
I saw the
weapon, so
tweet.
that's
I'm
all
never gonna
she
hear
cares
the end of
about.
this.
That's all she cares about. She got her weapon. She doesn't
I
need
got my
anything else.
weapon.
I saw the tweet.
It was a minor upgrade.
Just
But-
a minor one. A little one. A little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You can. I
go
mean,
ahead,
look,
Indy.
people can farm mythic keys if they really want loot. If loot is the goal, you can farm mythic keys till your heart's content.
Yeah. Well, even with that, like, so they've changed the mythic keys how they work since last
Yep.
expansion too. And if you're doing the keystones within time, you'll get 2 pieces of loot. If you fail the timer, you don't meet the time. Only one person in that group gets loot. So that used to be 2 people get loot no matter what.
So everything scaled back. I mean, it makes sense, but I do have that concern of then the content sometimes doesn't feel as rewarding as maybe it should, because the progression feels slower. I get why they've done it. Don't worry, Blizz. I'm on board for this one. I was on board back in the day when I had to do Shadowlands heroic 90 fucking times for a piece of warlock armor. Fine, you got me. But I definitely hear the arguments of then it, how many mythics do I run and not get a drop? That sucks. That feels awful. And to your point, Indy, yeah, you have the Great Vault, which is certainly going to help guaranteeing some type of reward and multiple ways to kind of influence what you're going to get there. We should mention that's bugged. So in Blue Post answering the topic of a bug in the Great Vault, Kyvac says there currently is a bug, yes. The mouse over tooltip that lists your top runs has been excluding runs that fail the timer. That is a display issue only. The rewards will be correct on Tuesday, and you do not need to beat the timer for your Mythic Keystone dungeon completions to count towards progress. However, the Great Vault not updating, that's a separate issue. There's often a delay of a few minutes before the Great Vault UI updates to reflect a recent Mythic Keystone completion. While we look into that, we found that logging out of WoW and back in does essentially make it force updates. So nothing as far as your loot. Everybody can settle down. Your loot is okay. It's a display issue, though.
I ran some mythic keys. I pugged some mythic keys all the way up to server reset. It was last night. And I went back to the vault each time. I failed like 2 out of 3 keys because the groups were so trying.
You probably have that damn warlock in all of them, huh?
Oh my god. Somebody said I should make a rage compilation. That's how bad it was. But I went back to my vault to check after each one, and I got credit regardless of if we made the timer or not. So that must have been fixed before today.
Yeah, it was fixed. It was fixed yesterday.
Yesterday.
So it definitely works.
I noticed it because the day before I had finished a run, it was I forget if it was a 6 or a 7 the other side, and we didn't make the timer, and I went back to the thing to look. I checked on it twice and it didn't show up, and then I logged on later that night to check to do my mod dailies, and it had registered by that point. So later in the evening it was fixed.
Oh, what else we got? Oh, yeah. Looking for raid. Almost forgot about that one. Looking for raid to open up. So we've got, just wing 1 right now, right?
Yep.
Who's all in that one, Zista?
Huntsman, Hungering Destroyer, and Lady Darkvein. I actually ran it just before the podcast. So
did it feel super easy mode?
Yeah, there's a lot of dumbed down mechanics and stuff like that. We didn't wipe to a single boss. But it just felt like stuff had so much health. Like, I'm just used to LFR stuff dying like really fast, but the stuff stayed up for a while, and I'm like, well, at least it's going down faster than normal, but still felt it was up a little too long.
Congratulations, Lazarus Imperative clocks in the world first Hungering Destroyer kill. So now we've got a guild 3 of 10 in the Mythic World First race. Congratulations there. That just happened. So I wanted to ask before we leave this the topic of gear and rating and PvE content. You've now had a week of the regular and heroic dungeons, and the Mythic dungeons being open in week 2. Now Mythic Plus being a viable option for the dungeons. I've got a favorite. I've got a least favorite. I have to imagine that both of you have one too now. So now that we're 3 weeks in, we've played all the different difficulties. This is nobody's going to agree with me. I love Plaguefall. I don't know what it is about it. It is still my favorite dungeon, and I know that this is probably towards the bottom of everybody else's list. Because it's not a great dungeon. It's not earth-shattering. I just think I like the aesthetic. I like the feeling that it's very, I don't know, it's almost Nax Ramus 5-man to me. I have some memories of that going on with some mechanics and the slimes and all that stuff. So that one's got to be the best for me. I'm going to hold back on my worst here because I might get flamed for this one because I think it's going to be one of your two favorites first. So, Indy, do you got a favorite out of the dungeons?
You're going to tell us after, though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Is Plaguefall, can I ask you if Plaguefall is the one with the meat hook guy, the chains?
No, that's theater.
Theater Pain, yeah.
Okay. Are we talking about Mythic? Because it changes.
Doesn't matter the difficulty. Your overall, now that you have run all the difficulties, what is your favorite dungeon? And if it has to be on a specific difficulty for you to be your favorite, then obviously tell us what difficulty.
You guys know how much I dislike Ardenweald, but Mist has grown on me in Mythic because it's super easy. I feel like a lot more useful as a healer in that one. But overall, I really enjoy the other side because you get a little bit of everything. And I love the Millhouse.
I did not expect that.
Millhouse Mana Storm.
I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm.
Zista, your favorite?
Favorite dungeon is also the other side. Favorite encounter is the final boss in Theater of Pain on Mythic. And least favorite dungeon is Mists of Tyrannosaith.
You went ahead and give us your least favorite there. So go ahead, Indy. You can give us your least.
Well, I have a different least favorite for Mythic Plus, so I'll save that.
All right, well, go ahead. No, give it. Your camera's on you, brother.
Okay. Least favorite for Mythic Plus is Plaguefall. Only because I hate the whole beginning to the first boss.
All right, gang, that's the end of the show. We'll see you next week.
Everything from that first boss after, I love the rest of it. I just the very beginning, I can't pop my immolation aura because it pulls 1,000 yellow whatever the idle mobs are, the ones you don't engage. There's birds everywhere that get aggroed off mushrooms and stuff if you stand too close to the thing. Chain lightning hits everything under the sun. It's just too packed, too clustered. I hate the start of that dungeon.
It's because he's a demon hunter.
It is.
I don't have chain lightning as a demon hunter, but yeah.
Indy, your least favorite?
Least favorite Mythic Plus. I cannot believe he said this fight because this was my least favorite. The last boss of Theater of Pain. I love this instance. Theater of Pain is an amazing instance. The last boss can just go somewhere. It's
my favorite encounter in the entire game.
It's just so much for a healer. If I was a druid healer, maybe I could roll with that, but there's so much you can't even stand for a second and cast a 1-second heal. There's so much in that last phase.
Omi in chat, Plaguefall is the worst. If we could get a mod to go ahead and time out Omi real quick, please. Slander. I hate Theater of Pain. I like the encounters. Don't get me wrong. I like the aesthetic of the dungeon. I like the encounters. That's the problem. I hate running it with random people. I absolutely just want to shoot myself right in the eye anytime I run this with random people. It is just an absolute nightmare. I love
the dueling boss because I always love getting paired with the other DPS and see who's gonna win. Because our tank ran one night Katajara as DPS in there, and I'm like, please don't let me get him. Please don't let me get him. I didn't want to lose to him. And we fought, and I like barely beat him with like 5% HP left. It was actually a lot of fun.
I cannot stand it, which is a shame because I do like some of the encounters, but every time it pops, I'm like, God, no, strangers in here. Oh, internet. Oh, bad storm. Thunder and
Oh,
lightning.
oh.
Oh, no, the router, it's on fire.
I'm going through a tunnel.
The router's on fire. Oh, shit. I forgot I don't have electricity. Gotta go.
My goldfish is drowning.
Yeah. Oh, kid just shit everywhere. Gotta change their diaper. My youngest is 13 years old.
I was going to say he's 13 years old.
It could still happen. You never know.
Oh, they just pooped. Or no, the old standby, right? I'll type it in chat.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Thanks.
I'll just put that in chat.
I was going to guess that.
You were going to guess that's what I was going to say?
Yes.
Gotta go, wife aggro. Gotta go. All right, before we leave World of Warcraft, 2 little neat stories that I kind of like this stuff, and I don't know why. Indy.
Mm-hmm.
Indy.
Yes. Yeah?
Indy.
Yes.
There's a player who's played a panda.
Yes.
And they've done this before. But they have now officially done it in Shadowlands. Hit the level 60 cap just by picking some flowers. That's it. Never fought a soul, never picked up a sword. Didn't do any of it. Double Agent has done it again. Did it back in 2014. Now has done it again with a new level cap of 60. Just not even allied with anybody.
Yeah.
They
It's
did
so
it.
heartwarming.
They did it. Indy loves stuff like this.
He doesn't even kill critters. Like he slays no one, nothing. He takes no lives. He just picks flowers. How beautiful is that? He's a pacifist.
I do not have the time to even try to do something like that.
No.
It's
I have a lot of
some
respect
serious
for that.
dedication. It's
I have a lot of respect for it, but it's like I feel like doing it once is like a great sense of accomplishment, but now like after you do it a second time, it's like everybody expects you to keep doing it. So it'd be like every single time a new expansion would come out, I would dread that.
Yeah,
I'd be
they're
like,
probably just feeling sick. Oh my god, the expansion comes
like, I
out in
can't
a
even
month.
like play the content, like all the new stuff, because everybody expects me to be max level. You know,
I've got to go pick flowers.
Shadowlands. He had it a bit easier though because it only took 16, 17 days versus over 100.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Bargain. An absolute bargain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things I thought
awesome.
Indy would like, so I put them in the show notes. CNET did an entire story this week written by Steph Panicasio, and I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly, that was like fully dedicated on CNET to how Blizzard keeps the story straight, keeps the lore straight. And as a lore hound, Indy, I was like, I think I'm going to put this in the show notes. I think Indy will like this one, and I don't know if she saw it, so I'm going to put it there. I actually read through it. Like, you know, I like the lore, but I'm nowhere, I don't have it all stored up here or anything like that. And of course, there were some things in here that I imagined they do, like have whiteboards and, you know, dotted strings going from one thing to the next stuff. But I thought it was a neat little behind-the-scenes look at how a team of people keep all of this together over what is now a decades-spanning epic tale. Did you like it, Indy?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, I don't have it all stored up here either. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back to the Chronicles and just start reading them again because I want to go back to the beginning and just kind of like go through it again. Because if you've been playing this long, and maybe some people retain it all, but I certainly don't. There's stuff that I want to go back and reread.
Wait, this game has a story?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can only talk to Indy about
love
lore
story.
because Zista has no clue. No clue.
I mean, I own the Chronicle books. I've gotten through like half of the first one.
It's like,
Oh,
I have used them to hold tables up and and keep things from falling
Actually
off
sitting on
my
the shelf
desk.
in my closet, but yeah. Yeah.
All right. What else
But
happened?
actually,
Go ahead.
when I saw this article when it was posted in the show notes, I didn't see it. Otherwise, first person popped into my mind was actually our lore keeper, Little Missy.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
she's got to be loving this. But I did read through it, and it's actually kind of surprising of some of the like methods that they go to like remember. I would be just like, can we just make a wiki, like our own private internal wiki that doesn't, have other people editing, like, just
Yeah,
have
there's
like
no mention
that
of
one
that, but
protocol.
that's got to
Yeah,
exist, right?
yeah,
They
it has
Yeah.
have
to.
to have like a hidden wiki that they use, but they don't mention it for this.
Yeah.
They tried to make it like very like how we would do it if we didn't have access, that we like made our own little databases and yarn
They have
connecting
index
postcards
cards
on
and
our walls and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's an element of that, but yeah, there's probably a wiki behind the scenes. Or maybe they're just like they're to the point where like, fuck it, just check the wiki. Fans have been doing this enough for us. We don't have to do it anymore.
Well, because I mean, like after that mishap that they had with Burning Crusade and the Draenei and all that,
Yeah.
that people have kind of been putting them under a magnifying glass. So
Mhm.
they definitely needed to keep, have like a lore keeper dedicated to keeping this stuff all in check.
A couple of last pieces here. Other Blizzard news from Activision Blizzard. If you didn't read this or see it, head on over to mmobomb.com where Jason and I post a bunch of stuff with Q and some other contributors. There was a story earlier this last week about 6-year-old Rowdy Rogan being banned by Activision from Warzone. And yeah, so if you don't know who that is, 6-year-old phenom and whatever PvP, whatever. Turned out it was fake. 2 days later, the whole thing was a scam set up by the family to try to place in FaZe's top 20 recruitment challenge. That he had made the top 20 cut, and the next challenge for them was to make something go viral. So Rowdy Rogan and his parents went ahead and faked the whole thing. Awesome.
When it's a 6-year-old, you got to kind of give more credit to his parents than,
Well,
him.
yeah, so here's the thing. We did the free-to-play cast last Friday on mmobomb.com. I gave kind of a more benefit of the doubt to the parents. At that time, we didn't know it was fake yet, right? And they were facing a lot of backlash from people about, why are you letting your 6-year-old play these types of games, much less getting them into an esports scene, a streaming scene, a competitive scene, and all that stuff. And I kind of, I said, no, I'm not the type that's going to tell somebody how to raise their kids. That would not have flown for my kids. I would not have raised my kids that way. I didn't. I've talked openly on these shows about, limiting my kids' exposure to things as they were growing up. Even social media in general, much less, mature content. But I wasn't ready to say, hey, that's bad parenting, because I don't know. I don't know what works for you and your family. Now they can go to hell. Honestly, I'm done. Like, I did my, you know what, you do you, I do me, and I'll take care of my kids, you take care of your kids. But when you do this as a stunt against basically your own audience, right, your own fan base, it shows to me a lack of, I can't come up with anything creative, so I'm going to go make somebody look stupid and have that go viral. And they made a lot of people look stupid. Press, including us. I mean, we covered it. You take advantage of the fact that we can never get a comment off of Activision or any of these other companies on bans, right? They simply do not comment on bans, whether they happened or not. They just don't. And they can't. They can't come out and say we didn't ban them, because then they're commenting on their ban procedure, which they don't do. So it's a catch-22. But yeah, if you watch the video explaining it, they try and make it look like it's his idea, but clearly it's an idea that was on a sheet somewhere that was talked about. And yeah, to me, I was like, you taught your kid how to manipulate your own audience for a few clicks. I'm out. No more benefit of the doubt anymore. This one was, I can't speak for Jason, but when I saw it was fake, I was angry. I was actually angry.
I actually just tweeted out something or retweeted something the other day where a rapper I follow tweeted out something. He goes, one of the big problems of the world is you can monetize stupidity. And that's exactly what it is. It's just looking to get the numbers, the hits, anything you can do to get yourself more popular, famous, or put more money in
And
your
Indy,
pocket.
there'll be a portion of the fan base that thinks it's funny, right?
Oh,
Because
always.
FaZe has got some nutty fans at some points too, and some nutty members, to be fair, in some of their situations. But there's also going to be a large portion of your own audience that says, "Fuck you! You used me. You used me for a click. Enjoy that click now because you're probably not going to get it in the future, right?"
Yeah, unfortunately, though, I mean, I sincerely believe that we're in the days of almost a real life idiocracy where people will pay for and continue to support stuff like that. So I think there's always going to be a fan base there for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Me as a content creator, I would never go down any road like that for deception for any reason. It's just like not in my, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's two different kinds of content creators. If you're willing to sacrifice your morals and soul to do stuff for money, then that's one thing. But I'm not on board for that.
Nope. What else we got? Zista, did you do Winter Wonderland stuff yet in Overwatch?
There's so much I wanted to get done today. I just didn't have the time to do it all. I logged in. I opened my free chest. I got the Torbjorn Lumberjack skin. Unfortunately, I did not get Penguin May.
Aww. Well, you have till January 5th.
I will absolutely get it. I've actually
a little bit extended since they were a little bit delayed.
Yeah, I have every single skin in the game, and I have I think I have 18,000 currency saved up, if not higher. So I can legitimately just go in and buy them all right now. But I got to try to unlock them at least for free.
Blizzard going to be adjusting the Hearthstone rewards track. We already talked about that on a previous episode, but the Battlegrounds reset is also happening. So look for the rewards track. What's that?
Big change in Battlegrounds right now.
Yeah.
They've actually added spells to Battlegrounds. Every 4 tiers or 4 turns, you get a discover pool of different spells and stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to try this either before the podcast. I haven't played Battlegrounds in almost about 2 months now, so this might just be something to get me back in right now.
Glory won the grand finals yesterday. Was it yesterday or Sunday? I don't remember. I was watching it. I watched the damn thing. So congrats to Glory. You guys are maniacs. You give people access to a Google Doc, and they will type poop at some point. Yeah, that about covers it. Are we still at 3 out of 10? Is Lazarus still in first? Yes, we are still 3 out of 10. So the Mythic race continues. Before we go, I do want to give you the answer to last week's lore or lies. No lore or lies this week. Missy was feeling a little bit under the weather, our lore keeper. So hopefully she feels better and her fiance feels better. That, and we're off for the next 2 weeks. So this is the last show until the 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll be off next Tuesday and the following. So we'll see you, what is that, the 5th of January. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever your holiday is. Enjoy it. And then we will see you in 2021. Keep watching Twitch and staying subscribed and followed there so that you can get all the notifications. On last week's Lore Lies, it can neither be confirmed or denied that Sylvanas will have the power over shadowy tormentors in the future, but she did not have control of them early in Cataclysm. We'll never know what happened to Kultira Deathweaver under Undercity. So, yes, that was your lie on last week's show. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We will see you next year. Until we do that, Indy, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch at Indy Garona, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, pretty much every social media platform. I'm Indy Garona everywhere. Would love to see you guys. And
for God's sakes, pick up the balls.
Yes, please grab them.
Zista.
You can find me at itzista, Xizta on Twitter, Zista on Twitch, and somewhere lurking.
You seem very unsure of your own socials this week. Like you seem really unsure.
It's because somebody took the regular Zista on Twitter, and I always I'm like, is it the Twitter or the Twit? I don't know. I get confused.
Chat, make
Couldn't
sure
keep
you
it
hang
up.
tight before or at the end of the show here. Don't go away. We've got a streamer coming online right after the show. Mr. Jason Winter, how are you, sir?
I'm so good. It's a good thing I just looked over at the stream just now. I was like, shoot, are they doing their goodbyes? I forgot to unmute.
Yeah, I saw you race into camera shot. I was going to be like, well, if he's there, we do the intro. If he's not there, we don't do it. Nothing I can do.
Yeah.
What are you playing?
Yeah. Well, tonight I'm going to switch it up. Not playing Wasteland tonight. I'm going to be playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a game that I've already beaten, but I've got some DLC to go through. I'm going to be going through the Baba Yaga DLC, which got to find the old lady in her chicken hut, basically. Yeah.
That sounds exciting. Chat,
that's what it is, man.
Make sure you join Jason Winter immediately after the show today. After a few minutes, we'll go dark, 30 seconds, come back up, the usual. So make sure you stay and hang out. My name's Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at MagicMan1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, or head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. Check out all the other shows, the other episodes of Snowbound. Happy holidays. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.